Hey guys! Because it was such a big hit last year, we're going to revisit Christmas in July. And I find it only fitting to start out this block of reviews with what kicked off the Christmas season, the birth of Jesus. It's ironic that one of the most influential figures in history doesn't exactly have the strongest of filmographies. I mean, there are millions of people around the world who can recite the Star Wars movies from beginning to end, but when was the last time you heard of a Jesus movie with that kind of rewatchability? You have some really popular movies like The Little Drummer Boy, The Small One, or The Passion of the Christ, but outside of Christmas and Easter, you don't have a lot of people really tuning in to these kinds of movies. In 2003, a little-known Spanish animation company called Animagic Studio wanted to change that with something really unique, different, and eye-opening. And boy did they do that with The Three Wise Men. We all know of the three wise men who visited Jesus and brought him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but who were they? What did they do before they made their journey to Bethlehem? Trust me, whatever you're thinking in answer to those questions, you're nowhere close to what this movie pulled out of its ass. We open this biblical story on modern-day New York. I don't think this movie did its research. We meet this little boy named Inconsequential, who's all bummed out because he didn't get a particular Christmas gift, so he's decided to turn his back on Christmas entirely. He goes over to this bar, which I guess is fine with letting minors in, and the bartender tells him that, despite it being January 5th, it's still Christmas time.
Tonight is a very special night, the night of the three kings. They follow the star to Bethlehem. It's the most wonderful story in the world.
I can't decide on my accent. Is it Russian, Italian, Wissoian? Oh, hi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He begins his story by talking about how some people used black magic to turn into wolves. Well, I did tell you that Wolfabop would return. Gotta give the people what they want. We then meet the titular three wise men, starting with Gaspar, voiced by Martin Sheen. He and his fellow wise men are actually wizards, and Gaspar's specialty is light bending and telekinesis, as we see in his Intro to the Force class at Hogwarts. Balthazar is apparently a Green Lantern who spends his time freeing children from slavery, and Melchior is an alchemist whose entire purpose in life is to find the Valley of Gold. It's one thing to rip off DreamWorks' animation style, but did they have to rip off the plot from Road to El Dorado as well? It's also explained that these Native American werewolves are searching for the legendary treasures. I'm starting to see why people were having doubts about Jesus' abilities. Apparently, everybody's got powers beyond those of mortal men. Chief Meanders with Wolves here meets with the genie playing Nosferatu. Or maybe not, the editing makes it kind of hard to tell. But we get some exposition about how King Herod, along with his goblin servant, are looking for the treasures that would make him the true king. We then cut back to the three wise men as they prattle on, doing whatever it is they do, intercutting between their scenes which have nothing to do with each other. Not a good sign when the movie has no idea what it should be focusing on. Finally, their subplots come together as they're prompted to follow the Star of Bethlehem, though I'm not sure they know why they're following it, and Melchior leaves his apprentice behind.
Is everybody going after the gold?
No, what they're after is worth much more than gold.
Why is everything turning into gold?
Because Midas... Oh, well, that's another story.
Really? This apprentice, named Midas, accidentally stumbles upon the formula that turns everything he touches into gold? And this movie is so bored with itself, it feels the need to introduce figures from other mythologies, because this one is just not interesting enough. Herod and Genie Sferatu exposit how he needs the treasures in order to fight some great power that's coming, and Genie Sferatu is played by Emilio Estevez. Because when you think of the love child of Gollum and the Green Goblin, you think Emilio Estevez. Wait a minute, what's this? On this movie's IMDb page, it says that Emilio plays someone named Jimmy? Okay, apparently our villain's name is Jimmy the Goblin.
Your Majesty, We've captured the leader of the rebels.
Magnificent, Tobias. I knew your first mission would be a success. Jason, the greatest general in my army, your father, and my best friend. As he was dying, I swore to him that I would care for you like my own son.
And then I would exposit about you to the audience that isn't here. We then meet, Angelina Jolie's warrior sister Xena, looking for volunteers to rebel with her against Herod.
You're not warriors, are you?
Just goes to show you how competent a warrior Xena Jolie is when she can't even recognize her own fellow warriors. By the way, you remember that little kangaroo rat that was hanging around with Who Gives a Damn at the beginning? Apparently he was Xena Jolie's pet thousands of years ago. Be sure to put a pin in this for later. Meanwhile, in the town of Durka-Turkestan, where Master Yoda has hit rock bottom, we see the wise men cross paths as they're discovering they're all following the same star.
Huh? Oh, elephants?
Okay, that makes the third little goblin creature that we've seen in 20 minutes. We're supposed to be in the Middle East, not Middle Earth. It would appear that not Gollum here is signaling for these bandits that Xena Jolie mistook for warriors. By the way, Xena Jolie here is such a powerful warrior that she got captured completely off-screen. Nice. The bandits break down the gate using one of their own as a battering ram, when they could have just stepped over the wall. I can't tell who's dumber, these bandits or the architects who thought that this thing would work. The wise men use magic against their attackers, and... Well, that just blew my mind! We're supposed to be watching a movie about the birth of Jesus, in which Santa Claus appears before he's even born? What? Wizards, sorcerers, and Santa, oh my! Okay, it's official. This movie's just making things up as it goes. These screenwriters were looking at the Bible for inspiration, but just tossed it out and said, nah, let's sort a bunch of bath salts and see what happens. Figatus, mum, bitches! They rescue Xena Jolie and decide to bring her along for the journey. Why?
Well, someone who knows the area could be very useful to us.
Does instantly getting captured by bandits suggest that she knows the area?
You can't go see Herod. When he finds out what you're after, he'll slit your throats. It's suicide.
Why would they want to see Herod? I thought they were following the star.
They say he's controlled by an evil being.
Oh, now there's an evil being. This is just too much.
Now there's an evil being. This is just too much.
That's what I said! And while most people have 4 heads, she has a 5-head. They meet with Herod, for some reason. Then before they resume their journey, they get interrupted by this rabbi who tells them that they were prophesied to find the King of Kings.
Your jewels appear in this manuscript, which will help you to find the royal treasures. Gold. Ooh. Frankincense. And myrrh. The treasures are destined for the child who is about to be born, the King of Kings. Follow the star. It will guide you.
Oh, you mean do the same thing that brought us here in the first place? Thanks for the tip. Jimmy's listening in on the conversation, disguised as a fly that's powered by nuclear farts.
Blasted giant. That's the second time he's spotted me.
1. When you look like Lexington from Gargoyles, you kinda stand out. 2. If you're disguised as a fly and somebody still recognizes you, you're doing something wrong. 3. Where did you get those piranhas? South America hasn't been discovered yet. He gives Tobias his eye embedded in a necklace so he can spy on the wise men. Then they have a chase scene with the soldiers so Tobias can help them escape. Oh crap, Balthazar just ran into a whole platoon of soldiers. How's he gonna get out of this one? Completely off screen, apparently. That's really cheap, movie.
So you're Tobias, huh?
You waited several hours before asking him that? Melchior consults his map to see what they are, but there's nothing on it. Oh my god, the rainbow faces are back! Actually, it's the star shining its light down upon the map so it can be read. Really, movie? Moon letters? You're supposed to be taking inspiration from the Bible, not from Tolkien.
The City of Salt? You want us to go to a city of salt on a dead sea?
How's your little warrior? Have you finished him off yet?
I never saw so many troops chasing just 3 men.
And I've never seen dialogue that had so little to do with what's being discussed. Is Tommy Wiseau buying flowers again?
You recovered quickly.
Thanks. The body gets used to it when you've been fighting as long as I have.
Right. You fighting? This I have to see.
Excuse me, just humor me and pick up that sword that's on the ground right there. Yeah, that sword, pick it up. Yeah, thought so. Character Development 101. If you're going to have a strong female character, actually make her do something that shows off her strength so it doesn't sound like she's talking out of her ass. On the topic of bad character development, Gaspar and Melchior start arguing about whether it's the sun that revolves around the Earth or the other way around.
No, the sun revolves around the Earth.
The jury was still out at the time, but people have hypothesized about the Earth revolving around the sun for hundreds of years before the birth of Christ. I suppose it might be possible for Gaspar to hold on to the traditional theory of the sun revolving around the Earth, although I would think that a wise man would be a little more open to the more modern theory. But that's not the worst part of this scene. The worst part is that they bicker about it into the next day. No, not arguing. That would imply that they're talking about different points to support their respective theories. They're just saying, the Earth revolves around the sun. No, the sun revolves around the Earth. And again, they go at it like this for hours. They're supposed to be wise men, people. Start writing them as such.